Right, many of you have requested that I do a tour at least once a month. It's been a month since the last one. Let's go, there's so much changed already. And the newest addition to the whole room is the Malawi Mbuna Cichlid Tank. It's so cool. The fish are amazing. They're never boring. I have just fed them, so they're all sort of scavenging over the bottom of the tank at the moment. So I'll put in some algae wafers, as many of you said that they're sort of herbivores as well. No, omnivores is it? No, they eat both. Some people were saying they can get like Malawi bloat. Matt assures me that he's not seen a case of that in like 10 years. So varied diet is going to be the key to that one. You can see their bellies are nice and full. Look at this one, the albino one. Nice full belly under there. Absolutely loving this tank. I'm going to make some changes to it at some point. I'm going to add in a lot more rock work. I think everyone agrees that should happen. I mean, they're probably going to be all right at this size, don't get me wrong, but as they get older and more aggressive, they're going to need more territory. They can go in and out of this whole rock work, but if I stack some more up in the background area and keep it real loose so that it's like loads of channels and that all through it, I think not only will that look really cool, it'll be really good for the fish as well. And it's now been 2 weeks and none of the plants have been eaten, which is good. A lot of people saying putting plants in a tank with fish that eat plants is a dumb idea, but I'm hoping that because it's the thick leaf plants, the anubises, buses there, that they're not going to want to eat it. Apparently it gives off like a bitter taste apparently, and they don't even want to eat it, so hopefully that is the case. But as I said, this is a fish tank. If they want to eat the plants, they can eat the plants, no problem. It's actually all good for their diet, isn't it? And you know, it's not like I can't get hold of more plants, is it? So, you know, eat away if they want to, but so far so good, nothing being eaten. So I have turned the lighting down. There's no need in a setup like this with these plants to have like highlights blasting, so these are actually on 40% of what they're capable of, and as a result I'm not getting any algae at all, but the tank just still looks great. The fish show up really well under the lighting. I've just been to the shop actually, the fish shop, to pick up some other fish. We'll get to that in a minute, but not for this tank. But whilst I was there, there's a whole new batch that's arrived of all the different colours, well, different to these ones. There's some cobalt blues, which I'm really interested in. I think they'll be a great addition to it, so that'll definitely be happening. I think I'll do that when I add in new sort of sections to this tank. So yeah, look out for that, that's coming. So that is this tank coming along really nicely. And what's quite good is I've got this set up next to this one, which is completely contrasting really, isn't it? I didn't originally set this up as a blackwater tank, but I used wood that I found in my local woods, and it literally doesn't stop bleaching tannins. Mind you saying that, I think it's calmed right down now because it's staying at this sort of level, a good level I think. It's not too bad, it's proper black water, but not so dark that you can't actually see the fish or see anything in the background. Now the fish that we've got in this one, well the main fish or the feature fish is the keyhole cichlids, like you can see there. They're growing really well, as are the other cichlids we've got here, which is the flag acara. This one in the middle here is particular beast. It's definitely a male, look at that long dorsal fin. Really good coloration as well. We've also got the candy cane tetras, which looks so nice. I think these are fully grown now, to be honest. And then we've got cardinal tetras as well, which they're getting there. They're definitely getting there. I've seen bigger cardinals, and that's when I had discus, now on that discus diet. So they went like twice as big as this, but yeah, they're all doing really well. There's also a lot of cories as well. You can see back there. I forget which ones I got actually. I think they might have been peppered cories. I can't remember, but yeah, there's a good group of them. They don't tend to come near the front until it's feeding time. Speaking of which, let's get some food in. Sprinkle it in the front like that and it'll just make its way wherever it wants to go. Cories are coming forward now. Yeah, they can sense it. Here we go, look around here. They're all just bundled into this corner. Go on then, go on the front, there's loads around there. Oh, we've also got another flag acara there. Another really good sized one. There's a couple of big males in here for sure. So for lighting, we've gone for these two sort of spotlights, which work really well and create a lovely shimmer. If I'm doing like a realistic setup or like a river style one, I always find the shimmer works really well to give that effect. I mean, it's similar over here in the Malawis as well, see? I don't know, it's just like a really cool look. If you're wondering about filtration, we have just got an Awase Biomaster 250 pre-filter, all that sort of stuff in there. Some would say it's undersized for this size tank with this stock in, but seems to be doing absolutely brilliantly. Then up next we have got my first bowl aquarium in the new studio. It's been such a long time since I did a bowl, but this one turned out so good. So here it is, and we have got Ember Tetra in there, and we've got Santa Maria Endlers as well. And the amazing thing is that the Ember Tetra are so much more comfortable in this bowl than they were in their sort of regular rectangle tank than before. I'm not sure if you guys remember when we put in the floating plants, I only put a couple of sprinkles and now it's nearly covering the surface. But yeah, look at this. Look, see, Ember Tetra coming right out into the front. Some people have suggested that bowls are bad for their eyes or something and that everything's magnified and it must be so scary for them. But look, I'm right up, my finger's right up there. If they were scared, they'd be straight in the back and you wouldn't see them again. Already, to be honest, this bowl looks like it's going to need a trim up soon. So the rotala at this side is growing right up and the rotala this side as well. But that's a simple fix, just a couple of trims and we'll be all good again. Lots of people asking me as well about like cleaning. How do you clean the glass? How do you clean the substrate? Well, I never clean the substrate on any of my tanks. That sort of defeats the point of having it there. The idea is that the waste gets locked into that substrate and then it's like food for the plants, if you like, in their root systems. In terms of cleaning the bowl's edge, well, I don't really do that either. That's what the shrimp are in there for and the snails. And there's literally nothing on the glass at all. If you find that you're getting too much like algae on the glass, then you need to sort of look at the lighting because that's probably way too high. Yeah, so this one's doing great. It's going to go from strength to strength, and as I trim all of these rotalas, they can grow back more compact and it will look even better. So now we come to one of my most favorite tanks in the whole studio. This is my Rainbow Fish tank. It's one of the biggest successes I've ever had, and that's mainly because there is no CO2 or anything like that on this tank. There never has been, and just I mean, I just love everything about this tank, from the carpeting sage down the bottom, the pop of red that I've just made in that top section, the fact that the fish love me as well. I'm the feeder, of course they love me. The Monte Carlo just creeping down that I never planned to do. I just put a tiny little sprig of it in one section there and it's just done its own thing. Also love the immersed plants in here as well, the peace lily. This is literally just had the soil taken off the roots, plonked in the top part of the wood coming out of the water with a load of hydrocotyl Japan, and as a result we've just got this sort of beautiful monstrosity on top of the tank. Look at that. Let me step back. And we've got brand new flowers coming up the top as well. This is another new one. Oh look, that's so firm. That's going to be a really big flower. So all of that is great, of course, but my favourite thing is the fish themselves. So I think I've had the rainbow fish in here longer than any other fish I've kept. Other than like say maybe some plecos or something like that, a bristlenose. But yeah, I absolutely love this fish, and my favourite is the Bosemani that you can see here. So there is 3 males, all in one shot. And I'd say the middle one is that sort of main dominant one. It's got the most coloration. Oh look, turquoise as well. Sorry, I'm so distracted, very easily distracted. Now, believe it or not, they're actually even more colourful than what you see in here, but it's later on in the day now. But first thing in the morning, these guys are just so brightly coloured. But yeah, as the day goes on, they get less brightly coloured. They do all their sort of mating first thing in the morning. And usually if they're going to do that, they tend to scatter eggs. Now, I've just cleared it out, but I had an absolute ton of these red root floaters covering this whole section. And sometimes I'll just scoop some out and put them in other tanks. And one time in a different small tank where I'd scooped them out to, there's some babies that actually hatched out and are currently growing. Yeah, so these here in this shrimp owls tank, just some owls I got from IKEA. I thought it'd make a nice little setup. No filter, of course. So those two right in the foreground there are rainbow fish juveniles, and they're so small you can barely even focus on them. I'm trying, but but you trust me, take my word for it, they are baby rainbow fish. So yeah, that's a really great tank, one of my favorites, and I say one of, it's probably my most favorite just because the sentimentality with the fish. But in terms of interest at the moment, the tank that I'm most interested in, if I swing around, is this one here. So this is a no filter setup. Oh, well, what's that? So I want to be authentic to you guys. I don't want to sort of lie about anything at all. I stuck this in yesterday because I knew I was going to be showing a tank because the wood was leaching a bit more tannins. And inside of this section here at the top, I've got some Purigen just to pull those tannins out of the water, and literally overnight it has done it. So that's absolutely brilliant. I can actually now take it out. It's not needed in there for the fish at all. I mean, it's barely any sponge. Like the actual sponge is that. It's not doing anything. The plants and the substrate system are what are just making this tank be so successful and so good. There we go, the filter is out and everything's looking really good. Now the main reason that I'm so into this tank at the moment is because of these guys down here. The electric blue Aquara, there's all three of them in one shot, and the royal Aquaras as well. So there's that one there, and then there's the boss one. There's the boss one, comes straight to the front. Like, just sometimes he just comes here and stares at me. Just stares straight at me. This one's like second boss. They can be quite territorial, so this one here, the big one, tends to sort of push the other ones to the other side of the aquarium, but as soon as line of sight is broken, it's all good and he stops chasing, or she. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that's a male. Look at it. Like the aggression, the full colour, the massive dorsal fin. Is it a dorsal fin? It is a dorsal fin. But yeah, look, even now, even then, he's just staring at me like, why you got that camera in my face? So this tank will be due another trim up soon. You can see the background's just grown all the way through again. Last time I replanted everything, so we've got like double stems, but this time I'll just sort of trim it all the way back. I'll probably follow these lines and then it'll just sprout out above them and probably look quite good in that way. So you've got like 2 bumps of stems as well. Now we're about a month in and it's probably time to start adding a cleanup crew. There's no cleanup crew in this tank whatsoever. So as you can see, we're getting this sort of fluffy algae on this piece of wood. Well, that's because it's so close to the light, to be honest, but we can get rid of that with just some bristlenose plecos. But the other good thing is that it's all growing in well. So down here, you can see Liliopsis is creeping. It's creeping loads there as well. And even more on this side. Look at that electric blue Aquara. Such a good specimen. And the other fish, we've got the purple Respora and also just a, what were they, golden Respora? I mean, they don't look too golden anymore in my tank. They seem to have gone just like normal ones, but they still look really good, so I'm not worried. We've got some other tetras as well. We've got some pencil fish, they're hiding somewhere. And we've got the rice fish too, which just look absolutely insane. Now that they're fully coloured up, that sort of eye that just pops. Really, really nice. The celestial pearl danios, though, they're the stars of the show in terms of the nano fish. Oh, they're just gone. Oh, there they are in the middle, just going to. So hard to film, they really, really are. Normally, if I put a bit of flake in the front, they'll come forward. So maybe I'll do that. Okay, guys, tap, tap, tap. Just a little sprinkle, just to bring them forward. Here we go. Now they're coming out. Now they're coming out. Where has he gone? It's so fast. Everyone's so fast. There we go. Oh, no, gone back. It's like they know they're being filmed. I will not stay still. But yeah, one of my favourite tanks in studio at the moment, progressing really, really well. Needs a trim up, but other than that, everything's growing good. And if everything's growing good, you're on the right track. So that is that. Now over in this section next to it, we've got like loads of empty tanks and space for stuff that's coming up. On the top, we have got some no filter shrimp tanks. We've got shrimp in there. We've got some bristlenose as well, so I'll add those over to this tank. I just looked back at the footage, I have actually got one bristlenose in here already. I remember putting it in actually from another tank, so there's one, but we need quite a few more, to be honest. And then over to the side of that is Timmy's old tank. I say old because he's now in his new tank. Timmy, Timmy, Timmy. He hasn't got his basking light on yet because it's actually quite early, but here he is. He's absolutely loving it in here. He's just everywhere all the time. The fish are completely used to him as well now, and they've got amazing colours. Where's that male gone? Like I said, it's still quite early, so the lights haven't been on long, so everyone's a little bit sort of sleepy. Okay, I can just see the male inside there. Is he going to come forward for us? Oh, there's one of them. There they are, both of them, the 2 males at the back. Look at that. They're like neon. That really darkness and that red stripe going right down them. They're doing a little bit of sparring there, I think, so they're getting their territory set. There's 4 females, so they're gonna colour up and they're gonna sort of compete against each other, but the tank is doing so good. I keep seeing Timmy as well. Oh, let's go over here now. I keep seeing Timmy going inside of this little piece at the back here. I'm trying to focus on it, not me. Yeah, that section at the back is like actually hollowed out, and Timmy goes right inside there and comes back out again. I've got a little photo, I'll put it up, but yeah, it's really cute. He's got no chance of catching these fish, to be honest. And he's not really got much of an interest either. Like, look at how close they are to him. He's looking at me, he wants to get food. It's like they're actually friends with him now. Look, he's not even trying. If he wanted to, he could nip at that. He probably thinks, what's the point? They're just way too quick for me. That's probably the best thing, to be honest. Another good thing, none of the plants have been destroyed yet, and it's been a week since he's been in there. Like I say, he's a very chill turtle. He's not quite as normal as usual mush turtles. He is a lot smaller for a start, He's not even a juvenile now. What is he going to be, like 3, 4 years old? I suppose it's still technically a juvenile, but he would normally be a lot bigger than that. Just he was the runt of the litter, the tiniest little one, like way smaller than the other babies, and that's why I wanted him. You can just see there how cool he is. But yeah, this was a custom background on this tank. I did it all with spray. There's a full build video if you want to go and look. It's one of my most recent ones. A lot of people are saying to me, how do you get it onto here? How do you move the tank? I built it on this table here, which is like on wheels. So after I finished building it, I wheeled it round to this section here, and then I just put some sucker grips on the side and just moved it across. Now obviously I drained it of water first, otherwise, I mean, can't lift that. That's a lot of water. But yeah, I just brought the water right down and just a quick shift across. So yeah, that's how I move tanks. I thought that would be obvious, but I guess lots of people don't move tanks, so they don't know that. So right behind Timmy on the table, we have got this really cool tank. I'm loving this tank, to be honest. It's a little bit more sort of stylish and designy. It's the QBQ from Superfish. Set it up about a month ago, but one of the things I love about it is it's like all built in one. So you've got your filter built in, you've got your light built in, you can even slide in a heater if you want as well to hide everything. But the fish are amazing. Look at these rocket killifish. So they're always doing something, they're always moving about. And what I like is that they're all over the tank. So we've got like a big old male down the bottom here, and then to the side over there at the back, we've got a couple of females. They do dart in and out of everywhere as well. I'm pretty sure they go to the back to do some spawning, but they're also always at the top of the tank as well. So you can see them sort of dotted about everywhere. Quite interesting fish. They don't really look like anything else in the hobby, I find, as well, either. They're kind of more like a saltwater look because of all those colours and just how different they are. I mean, all killifish do seem to be pretty cool, and they are more like the saltwater equivalent of the freshwater hobby, and they stay small as well, so they're really good for nano tanks, and I'm surprised they're not a lot more popular. Some of them only live for like a year, annual ones they call those, but these ones aren't. Rocket killifish, they live for longer than that. Look at that, oh, you just see there, one of them just darted into the back, a female, a small female. This male is always here as well, so I'm pretty sure like he's the boss. This is his tank. Little bit of algae going on down in that Anubias there. It's a weird kind of algae though. It's like a, I don't know, like a moss ball type. The Cladophoria, is it pronounced? I'm not entirely sure. But I can go in there and just pick that off and it comes off. Like it's not attached to anything, so it doesn't really bother me too much. I just leave it and let it do its thing. But the tank needs an overall trim up anyway, because the background plants are now growing all the way to the top. In a minute, that's going to block out a lot of the light, and that means that the Monte Carlo might suffer, which is not good because it's currently carpeting really nicely and it will go everywhere. Remember, no CO2. Lots of people ask me, do I need CO2 for a Monte Carlo carpet? The answer is no. But what you do need is half decent lighting to be able to get down there, but also the nutrients in a substrate. If they can find those nutrients, it just keeps spreading. But yeah, a really quality tank. I put it on here so it can sort of simulate someone's desk or something like that. Like if I was going to have one at home, I'd have a desk tank, to be honest. I don't have any tanks at home because obviously I've got so many to look after in here, and I don't really want to be going home and doing it again. It's family when you're at home, isn't it? But yeah, this is the sort of thing I see you set up in your office or something like that, and it works so well. I've not actually done anything to it since I set it up either. I tested the water, did a water change when it was slightly cloudy after day 1 or 2, and since then, nothing apart from feeding the fish. Don't even need to top it up because it's got a lid, so it doesn't evaporate, and the lid is good obviously because the killifish can be jumpers, so they jump like puddle to puddle and things like that in the natural environments or stream to stream or whatever. So yeah, with killifish like this, a lid's a must, but I don't think it harms the overall aesthetic, and I think it looks great. So now we can move over onto this section. We've got a row of 3 4-foot tanks. Now this one here, the first one, this is my 60 Betta Fish sorority, so it's all females in here. You can see quite a few of them at the front. They've seen me sort of hanging around and they're thinking, yeah, there's some food coming in. This is the absolute dominant female. Yeah, look, fantastic coloration, looking gorgeous. And the Betta Fish all seem to do really well in this group. Shall I tell you why? It's because of how densely planted it is. So there's loads of little areas. You'll just see them sort of floating out from different spots. And they've made their own little territories in and amongst it all. Some of them are like really plain looking, and others have got stripes on them. Some of you call them stress stripes, but these are still juveniles technically, so they're a lot smaller than they're going to be when they're fully grown. And when you're juveniles, you do get those stripes. It's just like a normal thing. There's absolutely zero reason for them to be stressed. I mean, especially with all these diver fish and so much space in the whole aquarium to be able to sort of find your own area. If we come around here, look, so this one, it's got this little area down here. Quite often around the back I see them as well, but they've all just pushed forwards because obviously they've seen me there. But always down the back section there, you can see just dotted in and amongst it all. And you can never see all of them at the same time either. Like even when you're feeding, some will just pop out of the bottom section and just appear out of nowhere. But that's cool, that's just how it is. They're not the sort of fish that just like the neons here, just floating out in the front. Oh, look at that. Look at my guppy that I've left in here. How gorgeous is that endler there? It's like, that's one that I've grown from a baby, and it's just got these absolutely insane colors on it, isn't it? I was going to take it out and put it with my other guppies, but everyone just said, it likes this home, let's leave it in there, so I did. But yeah, what a great looking tank. This here, this nymphoides, I think it is, I can't remember exactly what it's called. I trimmed that right back thinking nothing would happen and it'd probably sort of just die out because it did take over the whole tank. But what's actually happened is it's grown back into this nice little bouquet in the middle there as like a focal point. So this tank will be broken down soon. I want to be doing a discus tank again. This is the biggest tank I own in terms of volume. This is going to be a bit of a trial run for one we're going to be doing in the shop. We've got this massive 8-foot tank. I want to do this as the trial run for it, but then it will be like bigger scale in the shop. So that is going to be really exciting. Now I have had discus before. I used to have 6 really large, beautiful discus that I paid a lot of money for, and they got along really well for like 2 years. And then one day something happened to one of them and it just died, and all of a sudden I had 5. And then all this sort of hierarchy changed, and I noticed bullying, things like that. The fish started chasing each other a lot more, and then all of a sudden another one just died that looked in perfect health, like a perfect specimen, came in and it was just on the bottom. A lot of people's theories is that it was getting bullied, got spooked or something and just hit either the glass or a piece of wood. I don't think it was wood because there was no damage to the actual skin of the fish at all. So I think it's just hit the glass and just died. Now at that point I was like, okay, that's it. I don't want any more of this. So I gave all the fish to the fish shop, who then resold them. And one of them actually went to one of the workers in the fish shop as well. It's still doing great. But it kind of put me off, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing that again. That's too sort of hurtful. Like it was quite sad because they're bigger fish and they're quite intelligent, so you got attached to them. And for that to happen, I was like, no, not happening. Don't get me wrong, it's the same. Rainbows, for instance. I've lost a couple of rainbows in the whole time I've had those over the few years, and that's not nice either, obviously. But something about bigger fish that know you is, I don't know. But now having conversations with Matt, fish shop Matt, since then, like he said, the perfect thing to have done would have been to just add more fish to the tank. I didn't know you could add smaller fish to a larger group. I thought they'd just attack it, but that isn't the case. The numbers, I could have just brought the numbers up and it would have been absolutely fine. But I didn't know that, and you know, I sort of panicked and was like, no, no more. But this time I'm going to go for a higher stocking number, smaller fish though, not the big beasts that I had before. A good number of the smaller fish that just can grow together, create their own awesome hierarchy. I think it's going to work so well. You know, it's too early just to cut off those fish from a fish keeping experience, so I'm going to give it another go. The biggest tank I've got, this one is done. All it is now is just trimming it back constantly, and it's the same thing. It was a good experiment, enjoyed it. So all the fish go back, but it'll just be a really, really cool new project to do. I'm going to keep it quite simple as well. So another fish tank. Really cool scape, but simple is the key. And I say this now, we all know what's going to happen. And now we've got the 200 Tetra Tank. I was going to trim it all back because up the top here, look at this, it's absolutely crazy. We've got so much growth going on. It's covering out a lot of the light. I'm going to fix all this in 3, 2, 1. Now, there you go. Look at that. Much better in my opinion. The thing is, these plants at the top here, because they got access to the atmosphere, if you like, of the room, they can grow so quickly. So before long, it's just and it's all drawn to this front light as well, so it sort of grows this forward way. It doesn't take a lot to trim that back, and already the water is clear, and I've literally just done it. But look at all the fish, absolutely loving it now. They know something's going on. They're like, well, if you're doing that, are you going to feed us? But there's one of the angels. This is the singular one. There's 2 others. They stay at the back. They come out sometimes for some food, obviously, but you don't really see a lot of them. They just got their own little territory back there. Like I say, I'm pretty sure, oh, there's one coming forward because it thinks that I've got food. But yeah, in this one we've got an absolute ton of tetras. Some of my favourites are the red-eye tetra, you can see at the top here, like little mini piranhas they are, and they're like all over the shop as well. They're so cool. There's also a load of cories and everything as well, but again, in a tank like this, they just stay at the back until you're fed. In fact, I want to see everyone. I want to see everything. I'm going to get some flake in, and I'm going to get some pellets in as well, just on the bottom there. Now, of course, that is quite a lot of food for the tank, but there's a lot of fish here, and I want to make sure that the pellets actually sink to the bottom, because even though these fish are quite small, they still pick off the pellets because they're decent sized tetras now. Especially the lemon tetra we got here, look, got a whole pellet in his mouth, and the red eyes are more than big enough as well for that big size pellet. But as soon as the cories get wind that there's like food in the tank, they do come forwards anyway. We've already got a nice bristle nose coming forward down the bottom there as well. The Otto Cichlids are also coming out, and we've got some Amanos as well. Look, he's got a whole pellet. Look at that angel though. Look at, oh, I absolutely love this angel. I do want a whole tank for angels as well as discus. It's going to be happening because I've got 2 more 4-foots turning up. They're not arrived yet, but I've got them on order, so that's going to be wicked. Okay, I'm trying to be quick here because I just scared off a lot of them, but look, there's one of the stir-bys, no, 2 of the stir-bys right there. There's loads of bristle noses all out in the foreground as well now. There was a lot more just a minute ago, but as I walked to the tank, they just shot up the back. There's like a route that they seem to take. It's either through that middle section there, or they go through that section at the back. But yeah, they're all still doing well. Let me try and get in there because it's really chunky. There's a good oh, come around. It's all right, guys. They're just a little bit camera shy. It's fine. And then, oh yeah, we've also got the pandas as well. So there's one there. There's also one just going over the back there. So it's nice to have the variety because they're a lot smaller. And then you got, oh, there we go. Look at this stir-by. Oh. It's a really, really good quality one. The orange on their sort of lower fins are just so vibrant. I'm not going to be able to get in there, am I? There we go. That's a nice shot. Look at that. Absolutely lovely fish. So beautiful. And then next to that tank, we have this one here. This is the Swordtail and Black Molly tank. Now, this was set up as a plant farm, and it's worked really well for that. Recently, when I set up Timmy's tank, I took a load of the crypts from here, so there's some big blank patches. But one of the things that you've got to be drawn to straight away, without a doubt, is this. Look at this lotus. It looks so good. Oh, I've just noticed it sent out a lily pad to the surface at the back there. You need to trim that. Well, you don't need to, but if I trim this off now, it'll keep growing like this. But if I leave the lily pad, it will send up more, and eventually the leaves at the bottom will just stop. They like fall off, and you don't get any more because it focuses all its energy on putting the lilies to the top. So I will trim that in a second. But look at the swordtails just glowing here. There's so many babies as well, and the babies are a lot bigger now than they were. They're still tiny, don't get me wrong, but they're growing pretty quickly. And the other plant in here that's one of my favourite is this crypt flamingo down here. Now, it's not getting a lot of light, so it's losing its sort of red vibrancy, and it's being shaded a bit by this lotus. Again, I'm going to be using that lotus for sure in another build, so that's coming out. And again, I'll just keep rotating the plants in here, really. It's just a really good way of having submersed, like converted plants straight away that you can add to setups. It just really does make it look great. That boost as well in the middle, that's been growing nicely. Really dense in there now. There we go, there's a good example, one of the babies, but like a lot bigger than they were before, for sure. Well, I mean, obviously, fish grow, don't they? Nowhere near daddy and mummy size yet, though. And in case you're wondering, so the lighting on this tank is Chihiros WRGB2, I think. This one has got 2 of the super fishes. So you can change the Chihiros to be more sort of lower or higher Kelvin, or whatever sort of combination you want, to be honest. But I do absolutely love just the standard 6,500 Kelvin you get from the superfish. I just think it makes the whole thing just look a lot more natural. Whereas the Chihiros, although it looks good, don't get me wrong, it can sometimes have that sort of fake plant look to it. Do you know what I mean? It's a similar sort of thing for this tank. I've just moved these Vallisonera over because they were in there. But yeah, similar sort of thing. The greens look, I don't know. I mean, you can, the newer versions, I think you can change it so it's like proper white, but I love the simplicity of just having these on a timer a smart plug, so I can switch it on and off whenever I want, job done. I find the apps and stuff a little bit annoying that you get. I don't want to have to go into an app and do all that. I know some people love that and they kind of look for that in a light, but for me, I just turn it on, you know, dim it, have a dimmer button or something, job done. And then up next, we've got the 3-foot tank section. So we've got the red here. I love the contrast of this, by the way. We've got just like proper reds, we've got proper green, and then we've got like a mix of green and red, sort of real wild look to that tank. And then down the bottom, just some green with a load of shrimp in there. And there's a few neon tetras that sneaked in as well that are currently hiding because we're a bit, there they are, down in that bottom corner. I actually just moved some Java ferns and some Anubias into this tank. I didn't realise they were in amongst it. I should probably catch them out, but I don't know, they seem to be enjoying it. So yeah, in this tank here, the red tank, which obviously needs a trim, but I quite like the labyrinth of it all. We have got the, what are they? I always forget. They're not albino tetras, they're white, gold tetras, are they, mate? No, not gold tetras. Gold neon tetras, that's what they're called, yeah. So gold tetras are different, they don't have the neon stripe, but these are gold neons, so yeah, they're not gold, so I don't know why they're called that. I suppose that one there's looking a little bit gold, isn't it? But we've got some nice plants in here, actually. We've got I can't do it, I just can't do it. We've got a stem plant that's quite hard to usually grow, but we've got a good twin star light on here, which actually brings out a little bit more of the reds. A lot of people ask me, how do you get reds without CO2? Because obviously there's no CO2 in this tank. I mean, the filter's barely even running. So redness comes down to a good amount of nutrients in the substrate layer and then some high lighting, or medium to high lighting. You can still get good reds even on a medium sort of amount of light. But because it isn't really high, you don't get like amazing pop of red. It's more of a sort of dulled down pinky, but it still looks really nice, I think. And then moving over, this one here has got no filter on it at all, and this is my Endler Guppy sort of breeding tank. There's loads and loads of Endlers in here. There's loads and loads of babies as well. Just the more still you stay, the more you can see. But the babies are quite clever, as always with guppies and Endlers. They hide down low when they're proper small, and you only really see them when you're feeding, and then all of a sudden they get big enough that they don't get attacked by the others, and you start seeing a lot more of them. But this one here, another one that I've bred from a little baby brought through. This is, I suppose, is that a snake skin? Would you call that? I think it is. A cobra or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's a really, really gorgeous fish. I know that. And then we've got the generic male Endler, which is obviously after something, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, really nice tank. Again, one I don't do anything with, it just grows. And when he gets too much, I start trimming it back a bit, which is probably about now. But the plants are so healthy, part of me, you know what I'm like, I hate doing that, don't I? So this tank up here has got the female Rosetail Guppies, there's one there. There's a few at the back as well. And there's a lot of babies that I'm not currently seeing. There's also Chilirospora, which are looking fantastic. Great coloration. Again, this is another twin star light, and you really do get color pops with a twin star light. They're not cheap. They are very expensive, but they do a great job, to be fair. This is the tank where I lost all of the male guppies, remember, and the females are the only ones, like, surviving. Oh, look, there's a little baby one. Right there. It's actually a bit older than a baby now, actually. I think that's a previous generation of births. So that'd be nice, because we lost all the males to some kind of fish problem. I don't know what it exactly was. It's nice to have the babies just to continue that on, and they seem to be doing quite well. I mean, that one anyway. I know there's more than just that one though. So then moving on from this section, we have got this one over here. So this is the sort of nano tanks. I know this is not technically nano, but it's the smallest, it's the largest I would call a nano. It's this one here. So this is my Santa Maria guppies. The tank's looking good. It's got a real sort of natural vibe to it, I think. We've got babies, we've got adults, we've got everything really going on in this tank. But these really are some of my favourite Endlers. They just got this amazing colour to them, and they just look so great. It's not a very common sort of colour. You don't see black and orange fish very often. So yeah, I don't know, I just really like those. And then next to them we've got shrimp owls, which is 2 baby rainbow fish, and then a bunch of other babies that I took out of here because I wanted to increase the survival rates. So when they were really teeny tiny, I put them in here, and it just means that I can make sure I get the food from them as well. The adults aren't going to eat them all. I could just put tiny little sort of sprinkles in them. The one below is just more sort of a jungly sort of layout for some flame red Endlers, I think they were. Females, pregnant females, lots of babies keep being born again. I mean, it's not difficult, is it, to get Endlers to breed. And then you might be noticing in this one, We've got a little poorly fella down here. Don't worry, he's better than he looks. He can swim around, but he keeps staying at the bottom. He's had a bit of an issue. So he was over in this tank here with the neons. Yeah, you can see them all there. And seemed to be enjoying the tank, and he was with tank mates when he was in the shop as well. But all of a sudden I noticed that he kept sort of hiding in and amongst like this section of rocks here. And I was wondering what's going on. He wasn't coming out as much, so I thought, right, he needs to be treated. So we moved him over to this tank. He's been going through some treatments, and also it means that I can make sure he's getting fed properly as well. So I'm putting food right near him. Hopefully he can recover. I don't know though. His fins were really frayed back, and they're actually growing back a lot better. So that's given me a hope that he's going to make a recovery. But it's so hard with Betta Fish, you just don't know sometimes. But we're doing our best. There's some treatments in that tank, and he's also making sure that he's getting that food as well. Oh, there you go. Look, when I don't stand right next to it, the neons, they come right out. Oh, I added floating plants to this one as well, like you guys said. Just a little bit more cover, and that does bring them out a little bit more as well. But they're very shy fish, so when you come right up to the tank, they will hide away. But they've got a nice little cave that they love. Simple layout. Got a little bit of a tint to it, but the green neons, they really do like that. So that is the end of the video. I tried to keep it as sort of short as I could, but obviously there's so much to go through. We've got Gracie here. Good Gracie of our new doggy. So we're going to spend the rest of the day feeding the fish, then we're going to go home. But you might be able to see behind me, we've got this tank here. This is like a super fish kit. It's like the cheapest one they do. So I'm trying to do like real entry level stuff. That's going to be my next scape, so look out for that one. It's going to be a good one. Real entry level. The kit comes with everything. It's going to be good. So tune in for that. I don't know what I mean by tune in. Just click it when you see it.